And
I'm Dr. Doula.
we would love to welcome you out to another live online discussion, paper versus paper. We're so excited because we have a very special treat for you today. But before we jump in, we want to make sure that we remind you, our audience, to please go to YouTube, like and share, subscribe, because these particular online discussions are for you to be able to play back with your young people, to actually inspire them as it relates to the things that we're going through today. This is an e-learning opportunity as we go through this global pandemic to encourage your young people and yourself on dealing with the situations that we've come into grips with right now. And we're talking to a lot of amazing professionals. So please go to YouTube, subscribe to Coach Green Gene. You guys know that during this time, we are unable to host the 3H pre-apprenticeship workshop. So meanwhile, what we do is we have come to you to do, Dr. Doula, she'll come back in, but we come and we actually host guest professionals to actually share with us insights and strategies on how to create sustainable platforms for the young people to create sustainable platforms as they continue on in their professional development, and also for the parents. We also like to, for our guest professionals to touch base and to encourage you as well, especially during this time when we're dealing with this global pandemic. So we're waiting for we're waiting for Dr. Doula to come back on. But while I'd like to introduce to you all our next guest professional, a special guest, a beautiful friend, is none other than healer and job search instructor, speaker, is our friend Royce Fletcher Thomason. Royce Fletcher Thomason. Royce, it is so good to have you, man. I am so encouraged. Thank you for joining us today, sir.
Yes, sir. Absolutely, Coach Green Gene. It's definitely my pleasure and honor to be here with you and Dr. Doula. You know, I've always felt that you all are beautiful people and really admire the work that you all do, the wonderful job that you've done with your the rearing of your children and everything, and the wonderful work that you both do in terms of sowing into the community and uplifting our people.
Thank you. Royce, we have Dr. Doula back, but while Dr. Doula is sitting in,
I was literally listening to you. I was like, I'm here. Wait. No,
we didn't know you were going to disappear on us.
I was trying to come back in. It was like, nope, you took too long, and it just threw me out. I was like, no, I'm here.
Let's give Royce this opportunity to go ahead and introduce himself, because I want the people on the broadcast to really dial into that today, because I believe Royce is going to hit on some amazing mental health ideas for our parents and for our young people. Awesome. But Royce, please share with us who you are and what you do.
Okay, well, sure. And thank you for the opportunity. So one of the things that I have really greatly valued and considered to be a tremendous blessing for me over the last couple of decades is being able to serve in a capacity that allows people to experience what medicine refers to as medical miracles. I don't really like talking about myself a whole lot, because this isn't just something that's unique to me. I can train anybody who's open and willing to do the same things that I do. But I've been fortunate to see people all across the United States and Canada, Mexico, Africa, and the Middle East experience some really profound medical miracles. And to me, this feels like a time that's really, really, really significant in terms of really being able to take care of our whole beingness with the situation that we've been dealing with in our country right now. Now, I don't know how long you want me to be talking. You said
no, please, no. Take your time, Dr. Doula. Was you going to say something?
Royce,
this time is for you, Royce.
Okay.
I was going to say something. You always I love that about you, but it always, okay. I love what you're saying, because what I've always, just over the years, what I've seen is I've seen, even from a distance, just seeing you, and even the way that you, the energy that you put out into the world is beautiful. And I'm one of those people that appreciates that. I also feel like there's so much negativity and things that just comes naturally. I absolutely love when I see something scroll down the page. I know that when I see it, it's going to be something encouraging, uplifting. It's going to be food for thought. It's going to be talking about healing of some sort, some type of spiritual context. You can talk. This is really an opportunity to share who you are. And you were about to say something right before you said, I don't know how long you're supposed to talk.
Right.
I just talk.
Okay.
Just talk.
All right. Well, thank you for that. So, one of the things that we're seeing is, and I'm gonna try to not get too preachy because that's a part of my bio too.
Hey, it's all about you, sir. Go ahead, take your time.
But one of the things that we're seeing that are going on in our world right now is symptomatic of a greater issue that there's been. Obviously, there is a pandemic of coronavirus going on that has all 7 billion people on the planet living life differently than we were
just a month ago, even.
Okay, mm-hmm. Yes. Okay, but what the real pandemic is the way that we've been relating to ourselves, each other, and the greater earth upon which we live. So the fear, the sense of I'm only concerned about me and what is serving me.
Wow.
I'm taking an approach towards life that's only focusing on my own well-being without being concerned with what the greater good is. And so this COVID-19, coronavirus 2019, it's not the first coronavirus. It's just a new strand of this particular virus, which is why it's called the COVID-19 or novel coronavirus. A virus is something that's very, very small, very, very small, even several times smaller than a bacteria. And it's a parasite. And what a parasite is something that actually lives off of a host. It feeds off of the host, really only concerned with its own well-being. And
my God, come now.
What it's living off of in the process, without giving much, if anything, back to what it's living off of. The thing about it is, ultimately, a parasite isn't that smart because it needs a host to live off of, and its nature tends to be the destruction of its host. And in a similar way, and I know this sounds a little bit harsh sometimes, we have in so many ways been like human beings have been like a virus living on the earth,
this planet,
living off of the host, the earth, without really
paying
much attention to what it is that we're giving back to it. You know, in the biblical context, we were given dominion over the earth, and we took an arrogant perspective on that, thinking that we're supposed to just do whatever we want, have rulership over. What it really means is that we are responsible to the earth. Like you two are, I am always impressed with the phenomenal job that you all have done as parents and continue to do as parents. You know, what you've sown into your offspring. What we are sowing into the earth has just not been beneficial for the earth. And what's happening is we've been concerned about what's going to serve us without concern of how we're impacting the earth, how we're impacting other people. And the result of that is, you know, what happens with this coronavirus? One of the symptoms is a fever develops in order to try to fight off the harm that's been taking place. And, you know, there's talk about global warming and all of this. You know, that's just symptomatic of the earth having a fever in response to a viral infection, which that's a choice that we can make. We don't have to live in such a way as to where we're destroying the earth. But interestingly enough, right now, we're going through a time on our planet where pollution levels are lower than they've been in 100 years. Smog levels are lower than they've been. and 100
Speak,
years.
Royce.
Earth is in the process of healing.
Come on.
And we've been needing to shut down in order to allow that to happen. And so
Come on.
this is an opportunity. We're given a gift in this situation. Now, would you or I have, or any of us on the planet, voted for this deadly disease to occur? None of us would have wanted this. None of us would have wanted to have had to be in this position where we have to work from home, where we have to focus on our entertainment at home, where we have to do everything from home. But the reality is that we've gotten away from the home, what our real home is, who we are as spiritual beings living on this earth. Okay, and so we're needing to return home to our souls, home to the essence of who we really are, and to live from there, and to allow our interactions to come from that place within us that really knows innately that we are connected to all of life itself. Okay.
Do you know, I had to turn my mic off. I was just over here just screaming, literally just. I appreciate every word that you have already said, because it is real to acknowledge. I mean, even the analogy you gave about the being a virus to this earth, just being concerned with consuming the host, meeting its own needs, not being mindful of the life forces. And that is exactly what has happened. I'm always encouraging people or asking people or saying to people, like, well, what was happening before all of these things, before we had these, what they really are, conveniences? How has mankind survived for all of these years without these modern, because they are in the scope of the world and the existence of humanity, without all of these advancements and things? We had to understand, my grandparents were farmers, didn't get past the 6th grade, either one of them, but they understood and they knew simple things like when the rain would come, when it was time to plant, when it was a good time to do this and not that. They were mindful of even the smell of something that would say, oh, there's something happening. And we have not, we have lived with the privilege and the luxury of not having to think about any of those things. And what this represents more than anything is that we are disconnected and have allowed ourselves to be that. That was just really powerful, the analogy you gave.
Royce, this is difficult times, sir. And for our audience, you are a treat to us right now. And so I want you to dig in, because, a lot of us are at home. We're in the areas that we're not really comfortable in right now. So whether we realize it or not, there's some mental health concerns, some things that we need to come to grips with to help us navigate the place that we're in right now. Can we start with the children, the young people? What kind of things can they practically do to help offset some of the things they may be going through? I don't know if it's a young person that's getting ready to come out of high school to go to college, maybe missing out on prom or graduation, and may have to do it virtually. What kind of things can they do?
We have one of those.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
To prepare for college, because after all of this, like you said, after all of this, we will still have to continue to go on. Life will look different, but what kind of things can we do now to prepare for that next level?
Okay, so one thing that I definitely want to say that I think is imperative for all of us, the youth and the parents, for all of us, is, and this actually significantly impacts the immune system too, is stress and worry. Now, what most stress and most anxiety is attached to is actually trying to make things different than how they actually are, resisting what is actually so. Okay. I believe that a first step in really helping us to get some peace of mind, this may not be an ideal situation. What things were planned and hoped to be, they're just not playing out in that way. And there's significant limits on what we can do to change that. There's some things that are just outside of our control. The more that we can remind ourselves that this is what the situation is. And I wasn't planning on the preacher coming out, but it apparently wants to.
Bring him out. Bring him out, Royce. I'm waiting for him. Bring him out now.
Okay.
Come on now. I got my mute on, so you won't hear any of my screams. I'm putting mute on right now. Go for it.
Okay. So here's the thing. We are in a situation that we would not have chosen, but there is beyond what the situation seems like, up close and personal. We have a God who loves us, who adores us, who knows the plans that he has for us, and those plans aren't to harm us or to hurt us, but plans to bless us, to prosper us, to give us a hope, and to give us a future. And we do have an opportunity to still have a very bright future. It may not have been what we were hoping it would be or thinking it would be. It may not play out the way that we were thinking, but that doesn't mean that there isn't something awesome in store. The more that we can remind ourselves of that, the better. This disease is an upper respiratory disease. It impacts our ability to breathe in. What is it that we breathe in? Well, we breathe in oxygen, nitrogen, and other stuff. But from a biblical perspective, what we're breathing in, the word in Hebrew is ruach, which means breath, it means wind, and it means spirit. And so the coronavirus is keeping people from being able to be infused or to breathe in the Spirit of God. But that's actually a symptom. It's not what the root cause is. And in the healing, what we see is that the root cause is never what it seems like on the surface. It's always something deeper. So there's been an aspect of us that we were kind of talking about earlier, where we have been edging God out, so to speak. And so where we have been collectively and in different ways individually, and I'm not saying that everybody who has been infected or will be infected with the coronavirus is just a heathen of a person, that they're not good people. I'm not wanting to suggest that at all. But the more that we can get in touch with reminding ourselves that this physical stuff is only a portion of us, there's much more to us, and there is a divine force that lovingly embraces us and wants to see us doing well, wants to see us unfolding in a beautiful way in our lives, that wants that for us more than we even want it for ourselves. The more that we can remind ourselves of that, the better. When we begin to move into that space of thinking, when our mindset moves more in that direction, the more we're going to see that things are lining up that are putting us in harmony the way that we're wanting to be anyway. So, you mentioned earlier about teach job search classes as well. And I'm here in Houston, so a lot of the people who come to our job search classes are people who are in the oil and gas industry, which, by the way, the oil and gas industry is not a really good industry to be in right now. But one of the things that we talk about that we find is one of the biggest challenges that people face, even in their job search, is in the space between their ears. It's all an issue of mindset. And the more, Dr. Doula, Coach Green Jean, one of the things I really strongly advocate is, and I want to say this for the young people as well as for the parents, limit the amount of stuff that you're allowing into your ears and that you're allowing your eyes to see, that are lowering your vibe, that are causing you to feel bad or depressed or anxious. There's a part, you asked about mental health, there's a part of the brain called the reticular activating system. And what it does is it takes in everything that we hear and see, and then it processes all of that. And then it actually, we don't realize it, but subconsciously it plays out in terms of how we experience life. And so the more, even with me, you know, if I look at too much news or read too many things online, it impacts me. You know, I don't hardly ever come in contact with anybody, and I start getting worried and start having phantom symptoms that will come up
Exactly.
sometimes, you know.
You know, it's amazing that you said that. Yesterday, well, you were talking about limiting interactions and things like that. I don't know why there's feedback now, but I took my father to an appointment that he had, and he had fallen ill in October. And I don't really talk about much, whatever, but in October he had an acute stroke, and so um, the Most High is gracious, and he was. It only affected a small thing, but it was enough for us to believe that this giant of a man was fallible, and not immortal, and all those other things. And yesterday, you know, you're talking about the things you take in. You know, I've been really mindful. Aside from communicating with my husband and doing these videos, I've not done much of anything, not been on social media, not been much of anything, because it's just so much. And yesterday we went to an appointment, and, you know, my sisters are essential workers. So they were telling me, oh, they take your temperature at every place and they whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, every time we go into work, they take your temperature. I'm like, okay, but I'm going to take him into this medical building. It's in a tower that's attached to the hospital. And so they have this thing, they pointed at my forehead, they pointed at his forehead, pointed at mine. And I didn't think it would feel so invasive. I didn't think it would feel that I would have a response. But I was like, okay. And then she tells me what my temperature is. And then she gives a band, and so you can go forward. And I'm like, okay, that's the worst. And now I'll give you have to show your ID. And then we get there, and here's my father. We're very protective over him, even though he's like, I'm a grown man, I'm better, whatever. We're still very protective. And the gentleman looks, he says, who is the patient here? Who is the person coming? And I say, it's him. And he says his name and everything, and he gets the ID. He had taken my ID. And then he looks at me and said, we're not accepting guests. And so one of the things, the thing that my father's stroke affected was his speech. That was it. He could not speak. He could not write. He could not anything that had to do with communication. I didn't understand. I can see how you cannot speak, but how can you not write the words? So we have been very protective over that. And to hear that, you know, we're not accepting guests, you're a guest, you're not able to come in. I was flooded with so many emotions that I just didn't even know would surface at the time. And, you know, there are certain things that I stay attuned to in the news and things, and I do it because my sisters are impacted by it, and I'm here with them right now. And no one's at home all day. I'm here all day. I keep our boys. I make sure they're schooling. Try to keep everything straight in the house. But all of my family members go out to work. My husband is in Chicago, and he goes out to work. Just so happens he's in a hospital setting as well. Um, all of these things. And talk about when you talk about the whole thing of, you know, limit what comes in. It's amazing because for me, you know, one of the reasons why I just is like, I won't be on social media for a while. I mean, until, and I'm just saying all this because I can, because it's, you know, whatever. And I know you're going to say something wonderful afterwards. But until my husband called, until my husband called me 2 weeks ago and said, I want you to do a broadcast with me, because I absolutely, people were reaching out to me. And I was like, I just don't have anything for y'all. I don't have I'm doing okay. I don't have anything. My husband is there. One son he was going to Japan. I'm saying goodbye to him, and my spirit saying, go, 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 leave the country, go and do what you're called to do. My other son was buying his first place. Um, all these things are happening. And when you talk about, the worry and the stress, amazingly, my husband told me, and it was confirmed through someone else. For me, he said, you're gonna, because you're a healer, you're gonna, you can't, you need to do something. He said, and for you, you need to talk. And you need to talk to, now this is not everybody. This is not like, oh, this is a solving problem. I'm saying my husband knows me. And he said, what you're doing is not helping you. You actually need to open your mouth and you need to speak. And you need to speak to your audience, because you'll begin to heal and be able to deal with the things because of who you are. And as a healer, you will begin to be able to deal with it. And he has been correct in that. I say that particularly and speaking with you, because it wasn't just people like news stories or whatever. There were so many people that were talking about being at home and being away, that there just seemed to be an insensitivity that my sisters are taking their temperatures 2 and 3 times a day on their own, that my sisters are managing things, that my husband is whatever. Yes, I'm here, and as far as I'm concerned, unless we need to go somewhere, we just don't. But I don't know. I do know why I said that, but I don't know how to articulate why I said it. Um, yeah, if it comes to me, I'll continue. But just the whole thing of being very mindful of, and being connected to yourself enough to know even what conversations need to happen and which ones don't, you know. And I think I've offended a lot of people. I'm pretty sure I have. Because what I told my husband was, I said, it's fine when you say I am, how you doing? Oh, everything is good. You know, I'm a little over a month ago, my little sister's husband passed away suddenly. I'm not, you talked about all the stuff we can't, that just pops up. My sister's husband passed away suddenly. I'm like, okay, my husband was going to go on spring break with the boys anyway and come here. I was supposed to go somewhere else. I'm here. I wasn't planning this a little over a month ago. Mm-hmm. We literally arrived here a month ago today, and none of this was planned. And so I'm saying that to say that partly to just say how you've blessed me. And I'm talking because literally, this is one of the first times that I have taught. And so I just thank you for who you are and for the energy that you bring.
Yeah, I get it. And to God be the glory for that. And, I know that, it can be to a certain degree difficult to, like, it's odd for me when I go to the store, I'm standing in line to go to the store, and, people are, I'm a friendly person. Although I'm an introverted person, I also have some extroverted tendencies where I like to share smiles with people and exchange warm greetings with people, including in the grocery store. When I go, there are actually stores I can walk to, and that I frequent, where I feel like they're genuinely happy to see me when I go there. But it's so odd going different places, and people are afraid to even speak to each other because they're afraid for a virus to pass out of somebody's mouth. There's fear. So I want to definitely respect the fact that there are some things that are difficult to avoid. You know, there's some things that we'll see or be exposed to that it can be difficult to ignore. The balance to that is trying to find as many things as we can that are going to nurture our inner being, if you will.
And can I say this one thing? The silver lining was the gentleman looked, he said, he looks like he looked at my father and he said, he looks like he can manage on his own. And my sisters and I were talking and we said, you know, it's a blessing that he looked at my father who had a stroke almost 6 months ago, and his assessment of this 70 whatever year old man is, he can manage on his own, he's able-bodied. And that was what we took from it. While we were like, I was like, they won't let me go with him, they told me I had to leave, I couldn't walk, I couldn't go in the building. We said, well, it's a blessing that he is able-bodied. It is a blessing that what we dealt with almost 6 months ago was not now,
Right.
you know. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Royce, as we continue, I really feel that Andrea was heading down a path of self-care. Is there some things that you could give our audience, for our parents, for our children, maybe starting with the parents? What are some things that we could do to assist us with self-care, to help us, to encourage us from day to day, practical things from day to day, as we look at this global pandemic and how it's affecting our lives as parents, as workers, as friends? You can speak to that for us.
Right. And, you know, on one hand, I know it can be great having extra time for parents, having extra time with your children that you might not be used to having. I've talked with several people who that was their experience. I also get that can present its own challenges too, because everybody's used to having a little bit more space than you're probably able to enjoy right now. You know, for whatever reason, there's a song called "I Wish" by Stevie Wonder. I wish those days would come back once more. And there's a line in the song that talks about I'm not drawing the exact lyric right now, but it talks about how the parents can hardly, it's during summertime and parents can hardly wait for school to start again. So I get that there can be that challenge. And what I would say to that is, if you're a parent, allow that time to, if you just need to go in the bathroom and close the door and have some ice cream or whatever it is that you need to do, allow yourself to have that time without feeling guilty about it. Everybody needs their time to have a moment. You know, similarly with the children, you know, certainly there needs to be some level of order. Dr. Doula, I remember you mentioning earlier how you would close down the kitchen at certain times of the day. Certainly there needs to be some type of order that the children to have, to feel like they're certainly in school during school time, that they have, you know, perhaps a designated location for that, but also being able to have the balance to
Yeah.
that free time to, you know, one of the things I would promote is, although we might be practicing social distancing from a standpoint of physical interaction with one another, that doesn't mean that we have to be emotionally distant.
So true.
Yeah,
Very
this
good.
last Sunday was Easter Sunday, and I actually had Easter dinner with several family members
Yes.
in 5 locations in 3 different states.
Ah, beautiful.
Yeah, and it was a beautiful thing. Now, we've been in 5 different locations in 3 different states before, and some of them have been able to come together at times, and there are times others have been able to travel and be there. But it's not the norm for all of us to be together on a holiday like that. but that was a beautiful thing that I felt was able to happen, and we were still able. It wasn't quite the same as being able to touch one another, to be able to hug one another physically, but it was beautiful, to be able to have that dinner with my grandmother, who's
Beautiful.
in advanced years, and
Yeah.
some of my siblings and and folks, and so it was really beautiful to be able to have that experience. There are still ways that we can stay connected with one another, whether it's Zoom or Skype or FaceTime or.
Yeah, we have Ronnie Hall who's on the broadcast, Royce, on Facebook. Ronnie Hall says enjoy your smile, and then they said family time or FaceTime family members on a regular basis. So we're getting a lot of activity even with our guests.
Yeah, so Ronnie Hall is actually one of the people who is at the dinner that I spoke about. That's my mom.
She says she enjoys your smile. There you go. Amazing.
And you know what? It happened to be that that everybody who was on that particular, that group happens to have some type of Apple product. So we were able to do it via FaceTime. It allows multiple people. But even if there's somebody that doesn't have an iPhone, another thing that we did was, I didn't know that Facebook Messenger allows you to have a group of people all
Yes.
video chatting at the same time. Zoom is another
Yes.
great way to do that. Last week now this person is very much an extroverted person. She's always on the go, or she has been always on the go. She's caring for a parent now, and that keeps her more stationary. But she's been a person who's always had her hands in a lot of things, always done a lot of things. She's a massage therapist and does a lot of things giving back to the community and everything. She's always on the go. She leads several different Toastmasters and stuff. So she's a person who I'm sure can relate to what a lot of people experience that are used to being on the go. Well, I had the opportunity to attend her birthday. She had a birthday party. Just because social distancing was going on didn't mean she couldn't have a birthday party. She had a birthday party via Zoom.
Oh.
Yes, and so there were people who were there performing, at her birthday celebration. We weren't all in the same location. We weren't all in the same state. But people coming from all over being able to come together and share and, really be able to establish some beautiful connections. I've been networking more than I did before this whole thing.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of things that we can do to interact with one another, and finding ways to. One of the things that limitations do is it gives us an opportunity to expand our creativity. Okay.
Exactly.
Most
Ooh,
things
good
that
stuff.
are invented out of a perceived need. Okay. You can go back to the wheel. It was just the easier way of doing things. Even right now, we can still find ways of connecting. We can look for things that we can feed our inner being with, things that are going to encourage us, things that bring us hope and help us to develop a spirit of optimism. Doesn't mean that there aren't challenges, but the more optimistic we can be in the midst of that, the better that's going to serve us in the short term and in the long term. And the more things that we're feeding ourselves, whether it's podcasts or videos that we're watching or things that we're reading or things that we're watching, even stuff that just makes you laugh, that helps to lighten,
Yeah.
puts you in a kind of an uplifted frame of mind. The more that we can, fill our thoughts with those things, the better it's going to do for all of us, regardless of any age.
Royce, I wanted to just throw a plug out there really quick, because the things you're sharing with us right now, you provide people on a professional basis. And I want for our audience to know that they can actually reach out and touch you for services for you to assist them in these particular times. I know we have, we have your LinkedIn information for everyone. Please see the description below where you can actually reach out and touch Royce, Fletcher, Thomason at these particular addresses. I will put them in the description after the broadcast. Also know that if you subscribe to Coach Green Gene, please like this video, share with your friends, because they will be archived for you to watch them at a later time. So Royce, please speak on just you being available to be able to touch the individuals that would like to reach out to you, and how that interaction can happen.
Okay, yeah, I really believe that like now is a big part of why I'm on the planet. What we're experiencing
Good stuff.
right
My
now.
goodness, you push me again.
I mentioned earlier that I've been blessed to be a catalyst for a lot of people's healing, physical, emotional, and otherwise, and seen a lot of really phenomenal things happen with a lot of people. What I didn't share is that, and I mentioned about doing that for a lot of people across the globe. What I didn't share is that I didn't have to physically travel to those places. What's beautiful is that this is something that's able to actually happen remotely. You being in the comfort of your home, me being in the comfort of mine, whether you want to reach out to me on LinkedIn or Facebook, Royce Fletcher Thomason on Facebook, or I've got a lighter side too. I get a little deep sometimes, but I like to spin music too as DJ.
Yes, you do.
I love that.
Tell him, Royce.
And we can catch those. Can we catch those on Facebook or Instagram?
So usually I'm doing that. I have an Instagram. Actually, a month ago, I didn't have an Instagram account. The way that I ended up getting an Instagram account is a friend of mine reached out to me and told me D Nice is on Instagram DJing. I didn't even know D Nice was a DJ before that. And anyway, I created an account specifically for DJing, and I'll do DJ sets on there from time to time, and as well as put some different encouraging.
Nice.
And I can be found on Instagram at DJ Rev Royce.
Hey
Yes.
now. Hey now.
Oh, you got it on the screen. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I know. Go ahead, love. I'm sorry.
No, that was it. Go ahead.
I don't know why. I'm just following what I feel. I don't know why. Before we get off, Royce, I just feel like there's some type of brief meditation, brief something that you can just guide us in. That's just been in my heart for about 5 minutes now. And so I figured that I would just put that out there, something that you can just guide us in before we leave, before we get off.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I'd definitely be happy to do that. So you want me to do that now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Put them back up there, babe. Put them back in the middle.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So if we can all just take a moment and allow ourselves to really focus our attention in our heart area. Okay. And as we focus our attention in our heart, just taking a moment and breathing love into our hearts. And each inhalation, breathing in love. And as we breathe out, may we breathe out through our hearts. Again, breathing out love. So the love is all that we're breathing in, and that love is all that we're breathing out. And as we're doing so, may we allow ourselves to get present to our own feeling of worthiness of love, of receiving love, and of giving love, allowing love to flow to us and allowing love to flow through us. And even as we continue to breathe into our hearts, may we feel the love and the support of Mother Earth beneath us. And as we continue to breathe in our hearts, may we draw up into our hearts from the earth the love and the support of the earth upon which we live, where we've been able to experience physical sustenance and support for our physical needs. And as we do so, may we also realize that we have a life beyond just the earth. The heavens are looking upon us in love and support. May we draw down from the heavens the love and the peace of God also into our hearts. We might even see that as a light coming up from the earth and coming down from the heavens and meeting in our hearts, and allowing that light to grow from our hearts and expand into other areas of our bodies, to the point where we become fully embraced, fully immersed in that love and that light. Dis-ease of any kind is only a darkness. And by bringing in the presence of the light, the darkness must have to go away. It doesn't need to be cursed or yelled at. We don't have to get angry at it. No more than we have to get angry at a dark room that we walk in. All that we need to do for the darkness to go away is turn on the light. And so we allow the light of God to come into whatever areas where we might have worry or concern, anxiety, anywhere there may be any pain or trouble that we might be experiencing in our bodies. We can allow ourselves for a moment to feel the light of God's love in that space. We are protected. We are cherished. We are deeply loved. And as we kind of dwell on that for a moment, realizing and reminding ourselves that however things end up unfolding, we're going to be all right. Even in the face of uncertainty, we're given the opportunity to trust in what it is that we cannot see. We can't see a virus, but yet we worry about it. Let us trust the God that we can't see, to guide us, to direct us, to order our steps, to protect us. As we interact with others, may we be able to do so from a place of hope, with the understanding that we might have moments where we might go up, moments where we might come down, allowing ourselves to be wherever we are authentically. But if we go into the blues, to not stay there too long, to allow it to only be a temporary place of visitation. and to return back to the hope that, and the trust and the faith in God that we're going to be okay in the long run. And from this place of inner knowing, there's an aspect of our being that already knows this, that already is deeply aware of this. The more we can get in touch with that part of our being, the more peaceful it's able to help us be, the more happy it's able to help us be, the more encouraged and the more hopeful we'll be, and the better we'll be able to navigate this situation that we're dealing with and any other life situation that might come our way. And from a place of trust, a place of recognizing, even if we're not certain about it, just allowing space that it's possible that everything is going to be okay. Even when we have doubts or worries or concerns, reminding ourselves it's possible that there is some bigger plan in this, and that even though we don't see it right now, eventually it's all going to come together and make sense, and we're all going to be just all right. That deep space of gratitude and appreciation, I call us back into the conscious awareness of this place where we're in right now, this time and space called now. Giving great thanks for the God of life who breathes the breath of life into us. Say thank you. Ashe and Amen.
Ashe, ashe, ashe.
Ashe. Ashe.
Royce, I appreciate you so much.
Yes, likewise.
And I'm so grateful that you would take the time to speak with us today, that you would take the time to, I literally, I was like, why am I even talking? But I knew even while I was talking, I was like, this is a safe space. For whatever reason, Royce, you allowed, that was something that I needed to say. That was something that I needed to say. And I thank you for that. And I'm grateful for the meditation that you led us in, because just yesterday I was talking to someone learning isiZulu. They were talking about meditation. I was like, oh, that came to me yesterday. And so thank you for being a sort of initiate into this space that I've already been told from my own spirit, you need to meditate more. So thank you for that. And I'm grateful that I'll always be able to come back and listen to this and just go back to, just have something to help me with that should it become overwhelming for me. Thank you for that. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for the light that you are in this earth, and for being who you are at this time on this planet. You are an amazing soul, and you carry with you an awesome spirit. Thank you for that.
Thank you. And just to share with you, I'm pretty sure I told Coach Green Gene this. I don't know if I shared with you or if he shared with you. I was listening, what was really uplifting my spirit is I was listening to you sing the same song for at least an hour and a half straight Sunday morning.
Oh my goodness, he did not tell me.
Yes. You singing with I Love the Lord with Tuskegee's choir.
Oh, yes.
I've always found that to be so beautiful. And I told your husband this. I'd rather listen to you sing that than, no disrespect to Whitney, but there's an anointing on your voice that I would rather listen to you sing that song than Whitney or anybody else I've ever heard sing it 8 days a week.
Wow. Wow, what an encouragement and a blessing. Thank you.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
Well,
thank you.
you,
love that I love that it's mutual. I
Hmm.
love that it's mutual. I feel
Yeah.
like, okay, good.
And that was
reciprocity
so
there.
in my spirit.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you for that,
Well,
Royce.
Royce, we're probably going to ask Andrea to probably close us out with that song. But before we do, as 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 Dr. Doula begins to prepare her vocal
Oh my goodness, he's serious.
arrangements, I do
Oh
want to
goodness.
remind our guests, our lovely participants, the people who join us, the people who will watch this video and archive, please reach out to Royce Fletcher Thomason. I will put these links in the description. You can reach out on him with the LinkedIn address that's displayed in the description on the screen right now, as well as the Facebook link that you see right there on your screen, and also the funner side, DJ
DJ Red Roy.
Rev Royce, where he
DJ
actually
Red Roy.
takes his time and he does an amazing job as a DJ and spinning in. He puts in some of that house music for me, and he knows I like it because I'm a Chicago house head.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and Royce, we really thank you. We really appreciate you. What an amazing time that you provided for us here firsthand for our young people, and we're just thankful because that's what our not-for-profit Harmonic Connections is all about. Is bringing those people together who want the information and those who are willing and able to share the information. And I want the people to be able to reach out, to touch you, to be able to receive the needed inspiration and mental health that they can receive to better themselves, because this situation, this global pandemic doesn't necessarily, I've heard it time and time again, even as you share so eloquently tonight, it doesn't have to happen to us. But if we adjust our mentality in the right way, this situation can turn around to happen for us, to provide a sustainable pathway, not only for ourselves, but more importantly, the next generation. And
Absolutely.
so again, thank you. We thank you and we
Thank
thank
you.
you, sir.
Absolutely. And speaking of sustainable and passing down from generation to generation, this work that I do is something that we can all do. You know, you don't have to be from any particular walk of life or anything. You don't have to be of any particular um, previous educational background or anything like that. You know, the thing that I do that helps me to do the work that I do on myself and share with others, anybody can learn to do. And, I feel a responsibility to share that. I hadn't been doing a lot of teaching of it lately, but I'm really feeling a pressing need. I feel like the
Yeah,
world needs this. The more people that can be doing this, the better. They can be impacting the people that they come in contact with and other people that I would never reach. So,
wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah, I
Wonderful.
am thankful. I am thankful for the quarantine, in only the way that I'm being forced to meditate and sit down, as well as I know our audiences and friends to sit back, like a friend of mine said, Robert Watts, that we can use this opportunity to actually slow down so that we can catch up, right? Catch up with those inner promptings that we feel purposed to touch in our lives. And there's nothing wrong with getting out there and getting on our grind, as long as we're grinding in purpose.
right.
And the broadcast today, Royce, you've actually centered us to get and shared with us on ways on how we can center on purpose. Thank you so much, my brother.
Yeah, my
Thank you.
pleasure. It's been my honor. Absolutely.
Thank
Before we
you.
before we close out, I do want to remind our friends, our supporters, that again, while we are not having our 3H pre-apprenticeship workshops, we are taking initiative to host these amazing online live discussions with professional guests such as Royce, Fletcher, Thomason, to give us, again, insight and strategy on how to build sustainable pathways, again, for ourselves and the next generation. So please tell a family member or a friend to go to Coach Green Gene on YouTube and subscribe, like, and share. Please hit that notification button so you can be reminded and prompted as we download these videos and have them archived. We have many, many professionals that we talked in so many different arenas. We've spoken with college professors, architects, general contractors. We talked with an individual who was a clothes designer from Senegal. It's so many wonderful helps out there that can actually begin to minister and share with you on different things that you and your kids can listen to on how these professionals approach their careers and their lifestyles, not only through the global pandemic, but on how they navigate their business and their personal life as individuals to grow and to spread the purpose that builds, right, and doesn't tear down. Again, Royce, thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
Dr. Doula, did you have any closing words or at home?
All right. I'll just, you promised to push end once this is over, right?
Yes,
Because
we're going to close it out when you end.
you only because I love Royce and because
I
I
was about to
miss
say
him from
reciprocity.
Tuskegee.
Reciprocity.
Only,
We owe Royce.
so we'll see what happens with this voice. I love the Lord. He heard my cry and pitied every groan. Long as I live, long as I live, and the troubles rise, long as they rise, I'll hasten I'll hasten to his throne. Thank you, Royce.
Wow.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say in closing, if you guys can know why me and Royce are so mesmerized, is because we all share something in common. We've all shared the experience of going to an amazing HBCU, that's Tuskegee University. And Royce has served in many departments as well as Dr. Doula and myself. And Dr. Doula was a part of the university choir, and Royce, amongst other things, not only just with the student government, but he was a part of the chapel service and all of these good things. And so we have these things that we share in common. And so I wanted to take this time to promote an HBCU for your young person, because we all are products of an HBCU. That's Tuskegee University, Booker T. Washington. And you guys want to share? I'm class of 1993.
94.
96.
Yes. Thank you again, Royce. Thank you so much.
Royce.
That you encouraging me to encourage myself. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And thank you all for being here with us today.
Oh, yeah. And just a plug on what you said, Coach Green Gene, in a spirit of transparency, there have been times where I asked myself, after graduating in more recent years, did I do the right thing going to college? Because what I do professionally isn't what my degrees were at all. I turn back and I look and say yes, because I can go anywhere and know some amazing people because I went to school and there were so many things that happened that tended to my character that I got out of that beyond just the discipline of the studies, where I honestly could have been more devoted. For me, extracurricular stuff was my major, and my two majors were more the the extracurricular activity for me. But like what you were saying in terms of like an HBCU, and I'll even say specifically Tuskegee, oh, just what a rich wealth of experiences are available.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And meet some awesome people like Dr. Doula and Coach Green Jean.
That we can know and love for an entire lifetime.
Yeah.
Thank
That's
you.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Royce. All right, we're going to go ahead and bring it to the close. We wanted to let everybody know to make sure that you, like Royce was sharing, take time for yourself, encourage yourself, and don't hesitate to reach out to him. We'll leave his descriptions in the link below. And everyone, take care. And until we see you again on another live episode of Paper versus Paper, understand that we at Harmonic Connections will always encourage you to build legacy. Thank you, guys, and have an amazing night. Bye-bye.
Bye.